Housing is the single greatest challenge facing the Bay Area, and it has been so for decades. 30 years ago, a small group of visionaries banded together to do something about it, and they founded the Housing Industry Foundation. We're lucky enough to have some of those visionaries with us tonight. You'll hear from some of them in just a few moments, but for 3 decades, HIF has worked to make housing a reality for those in need and to help keep housing an achievable goal for families and individuals throughout the Bay Area. Every year at this summit, we honor 2 individuals within our industry and our community whose dedication, commitment, and impact set them apart and make them shining examples of all that we aspire to be. Tonight, to present those awards, please join me in welcoming Housing Industry Foundation Board President Jamie D'Alessandro.
Good evening, HIF friends and supporters. My name is Jamie D'Alessandro. I'd like to welcome all of you to a special evening where we celebrate the Housing Industry Foundation, its positive impact on families and communities over the past 30 years, and our goal to have an even greater impact over the next 30. Thank you to all of you for your past and future support. I'd also like to welcome the public officials in the room, thank them for the work they do in and around and on behalf of our local communities. Tonight, I have the great honor and inspiration of introducing Jackie Saphir, CEO of Prometheus Real Estate Group and president of the Helen Diller Family Foundation, as this year's recipient of HIF's Industry Award. This award recognizes an individual's long-standing commitment to philanthropy throughout the region. Jackie truly exemplifies the spirit of HIF in both her personal philanthropic philosophy, but also in how that philosophy has guided the giving ethos of both her family foundation and that of Prometheus. Jackie, through her work with the Family Foundation, has directed considerable monies in grants to organizations locally, regionally, nationally, and internationally, with a focus on education, the arts and sciences, and giving locally in her own backyard. As we all know, HIF is very unique in its ability to synthesize industry expertise, volunteer hours, and direct financial support to leverage our impact. Jackie has infused this same approach within Prometheus. Prometheus, as we know, has grown to be one of the largest, most successful multifamily operators and owners in the region in its storied 50-year history. Equally impressive, in my opinion, is the firm's approach to giving back, doing such innovative things as adopting a charity each year in every market in which they operate, empowering its team members to collectively volunteer over 4,000 hours per year. Think about that. And committing to donate over 30% of their annual cash flow. Prometheus has been deeply involved with HIF since its formative days 30 years ago. The firm has participated and led countless renovation projects, including an upcoming project in October at a domestic violence shelter at St. Vincent's de Paul. Prometheus has always been a member of the board and started what is affectionately known as the Rod Standard Grant Program. We are grateful for all of their impassioned support. On behalf of the HIF family, I'm thrilled to present you with this award and with a framed letter from a 16-year-old daughter of a family who, with the help of an HIF emergency housing grant, returned to stable housing after years of living locally in an RV. A warm reminder of the impact we have one family at a time. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jackie Saphir.
Thank you, Jamie, and thank you very much for this honor and welcome tonight. I was just going to talk briefly about our philosophies around business and purpose. First, it's meaningful for all of us to have a purpose beyond economic results. My dad, who started Prometheus back in 1965, always did have a deeper purpose. Both parents always tried to give what they could with whatever they had. First, it started with time, and then as the business grew more successful and included financial resources. The optimal combination, we believe, is if you can give both time and financially, it's the most gratifying and also the most impact. In the origins of Prometheus, we've always had philanthropy, but it was kind of separate from the business, as was kind of done back in the day. But more recently, we've really connected and integrated the two, because it's really our Prometheans who drive the success of the company with their time and efforts, and also drive the extent of the philanthropy. Our purpose at Prometheus is good living for the greater good. And very simply, good living is kind of bringing back that old-fashioned sense of being neighborly, that sense of neighborhood that we all need in this world. And the greater good relates to our giving time and financially to have a positive outcome for the locally and in the world. A second philosophy is that, you know, everyone's path is their own, but you do have a responsibility to give back. It's a joy, it's a privilege, and you know, how you choose to give back is certainly up to you, but it is a responsibility. And I think if we all inculcated that in our cultures, we could really create a meaningful ripple effect and just an incredible positive force for the world. Also, when you give back is also up to you. My mother had a saying that it's never too early, too late, or too often to give back and make the world a better place. That was kind of inspired because our family's one of late bloomers. My dad was an attorney till close to 40 before he started Prometheus, so everyone in this room, I'm sure, is way ahead of that and knew your career path before that, so you're in a much better spot. And then also, just as far as it's never too late, my dad actually gave one of his largest grants. It was to build a new UCSF hospital at Parnassus Heights the day before he passed away. So. And then finally, giving back, we think, is additive to the economic success versus deductive. At least that's what we found. I think there's data to prove it. And, you know, obviously, if you really give back in a real way, we think it, you know, creates loyalty among your customers, your teams, your vendors, and just in general, makes life more meaningful and happier. So, and then finally, I did want to thank HIF. They do incredible work in our community. We are so lucky to be in real estate here in the Bay Area, and it's really a wonderful opportunity that we all have the privilege of being able to help with HIF. They've changed the life of so many people, and you know, we are also so very lucky to have them as an organization. So thank you guys. Have a good night.
Thank you, Jackie, for sharing your perspective and for all that you do. I now have the privilege of introducing Bruce Ives, CEO of Life Moves, as this year's recipient of HIF's Community Service Award. This award recognizes an individual with a nonprofit partner agency enabled and supported by HIF that's continually innovating and growing its positive impact in the region. Bruce, prior to Life Moves, served as the Deputy General Counsel for Hewlett-Packard. Different gig, but while he was there, he founded, among other things, the pro bono group that helps serve veterans, domestic violence survivors, and other community residents in a volunteer capacity. Life Moves is the largest provider of homeless shelter and support services in all of Silicon Valley. Under Bruce's leadership, the organization serves over 10,000 clients per year, over half of which are children. In the past year, over 3/4 of the families and individuals that have completed Life Moves' interim housing program have ultimately returned to stable permanent housing. HIF has a decades-long partnership with Life Moves, in totality providing over 700 emergency housing grants to individuals and families supported by Life Moves, and over 1,000 cumulative volunteer hours on numerous shelter renovations. On behalf of HIF, I'm happy to present you with this award and with a framed letter from a family who coincidentally returned to stable housing from life on the streets in conjunction with the help of direct support services from Life Moves and with support from HIF's new affordable housing initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Bruce Ives.
Thank you, Jamie. Appreciate the welcome. If you look on the screen shortly, I think you'll see an email. I received this email 4 years ago, a few weeks after I started my new job as CEO of Life Moves. And I can assure you that I did not get emails like this in my 20 years as a corporate lawyer at Hewlett-Packard. The directness of this request, the rawness of the need, the weight and clarity and opportunity of what my new career represented, all encapsulated in one brief request. A request for help and a need that is repeated in many forms, hundreds of times a day, every day of the year throughout our region. Good evening and thank you for inviting me to be with you tonight. It's been a very busy 4 years in the homelessness business. Being in this line of work also means that we're in the mental health business, the addiction recovery business, the education business, the financial counseling business, and with 17 sites from Daly City to San Jose, we are certainly in the real estate business too. Nothing I did in 20 years as a lawyer at HP involved any of these lines of business, but I learned, as many of you have here tonight learned in your careers, that you can build strong organizations to tackle any problem if you hire good people, train them well, trust them, and support them, and advocate for them and for your mission. I was fortunate to help build a team that has experts on mental health and addiction and education and finance, and people like my colleague Joanne Price, who's here tonight, with great expertise in real estate. In the private sector or the nonprofit sector, having great people makes all the difference. It's all about our people. When I got that email, I was fortunate to have a great team that jumped into action, something they do every day across Santa Clara and San Mateo counties. One call to our Vice President of Programs led to a quick conversation with the head of our family shelters in San Jose. She had a family exiting to housing on Sunday night, and she promised to save that unit for the baby and her mother for Monday morning. While this particular story had a happy ending, as we know, it also points to a problem that has only gotten worse in recent years. We also know that we don't have enough housing or shelter space for everyone who needs it. In San Mateo County, we have 2 homeless people for every available shelter bed in the county. In Santa Clara County, that ratio is 4 to 1. Life Moves alone has 750 beds in our inventory, and with wait lists at all of our sites, every night, half of those beds are occupied by kids in homeless families. We believe that our clients deserve a safe, warm, and welcoming place to stay, and they work hard with our case managers to address the issues that led to their homelessness. With that hard work, as Jamie noted, 89% of the families and 73% of the individuals who complete the program at Life Moves return to stable housing and self-sufficiency. These are real families, real challenges, and it takes a lot of resources, support, and elbow grease to get these outcomes. We cannot achieve these results without the help of our partners, and that's where HIF comes in. Our clients come to us at the lowest point in their lives, and their first experience in our therapeutic program is the shelter environment where they stay. We try to keep all of our facilities clean and safe and inviting, but we move more than 2,000 people from homelessness to housing every year, and with units and beds turning over 3 or 4 times per year, we have a lot of wear and tear on our buildings, some of which are 50 years old. Sometimes it seems like we have only 2 seasons at Life Moves, the holidays and renovation. We have no better partner in this effort than HIF. And the people and companies who are gathered here tonight, all of you. In the course of our history together, HIF has provided expert renovation services to Life Moves with a market value in excess of $1 million. Every dollar we don't have to spend on construction is a dollar that we can spend serving our clients. So, for example, it costs us about $10,000 to serve a family in our shelters and transition them to stable housing. That means that we have saved enough money by partnering with HIF to house 100 families in our community. Yeah, you can clap for yourselves for that. And many of those families got started with rent support and security deposits from HIF as well. These contributions are truly amazing. But there's something that you provide of even greater value. With your help, we offer our clients a temporary home that is bright and clean and inviting, a place of dignity and respect that says to them, you are worthy of this. That environment reinforces their sense of self-worth, which is a key ingredient on their path out of homelessness. You help us to let them know that our community values them as our neighbors, who are worthy of our dignity and our respect and our support. Our partnership with HIF is a model for the kind of collaboration that we will need if we, as a community, are going to make real progress in the fight against homelessness. None of us can tackle this alone. But with real partnership from the nonprofit sector, from the private sector, and from the public sector, we can and we will move the needle. As Margaret Mead said, and it's as true now as it ever was during this housing crisis, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Steve and HIF, for having me here tonight for this award. And thank you to all of you for all that you do for Life Moves, for our clients, and for our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bruce, for all that you and Life Moves do. Your results speak volumes to the commitment and passion of the entire team at Life Moves. And thank you for reinforcing how much of an impact HIF has on your programs, because in a little bit, we're going to band together and we're going to enable Life Moves and other programs of HIF. You've met two of the individuals who are having an impact in our community, and now it is time for you to meet some of our community as well. We have assembled a short video to show you exactly who we are here to serve tonight, so if you could, please direct your attentions to the screens and roll video.
New numbers show a shocking rise in the number of people who are homeless in the shadow of Silicon Valley wealth.
With a spike in homelessness in Santa Clara County.
We turn now to a look at the homeless in Silicon Valley.
Housing Industry Foundation's mission is to try to alleviate housing strain on individuals and mitigate homelessness in our communities.
We've got industry partners, banks, brokers, owners, operators, developers, all participating in giving back to our community.
My name is Victor Lemus. I am currently living at the Shadow Oaks apartment complex in Cupertino. This program through HIF has certainly not only benefited me, my brother Alan is also a part of the program, so I know that it's greatly benefited him as well and my family. Living in the Bay Area, finances and money is always in the back of your mind. but the program through HIF has really allowed some breathing room to take stock, to pause, to assess, to reassess, and be able to focus on my career and my future.
The housing crisis has affected this community, in fact, the whole peninsula on which we live, forcing hundreds and hundreds of people out. If you were to look at the Redwood City School District, for instance, you would see a grand exodus of families who have had to leave because they could no longer hold on. HIF has come in and our missions align so well because we buy properties that are usually pretty bad, and that's because that's what's available to us. But we really respect our client families, as does HIF. And so what we do is completely rehab those places. We have done all of those things that make a structure not only safe, but clean and beautiful. And that's because of the partnership we have with HIF.
About 6 years ago, my husband passed away. I was completely focused on being a mom at that time and taking care of my household. So when my life took that abrupt turn, I was left alone and to fend for myself and for the kids. You just feel helpless. You feel like nobody will ever even think twice about lending a hand to you. You know, you just you feel like you have no way out. You feel like you're suffocating, and then you just turn around and you find a window with some fresh air. So I would like to encourage anybody or any resources that would be able to help this organization to thrive and to continue helping people.
From the investor's standpoint, this program is a great way for us to maximize our investments while giving back to the community. It allows us to take the vacancy factor and put it to use in a productive manner. And Sarah, in particular, as an example of that, not only did we get a chance to provide someone housing, we helped provide a home for them, for Sarah and her boys.
While I work full-time and have steady employment, it is not an affordable amount to be able to live off of and pay for housing here in the Bay Area. After searching and searching, I had essentially given up until I received information about HIF. I did end up applying, and within 2 weeks later, I was accepted. And that was a life-changing moment, completely changed my attitude, and gave my boys also a positive feeling of home is going to be home soon enough.
As we know, the need has never been greater for the noble work we do. So I think we have the opportunity to continue our core programs of emergency housing grants and renovation of facilities and shelters, but do it at a larger, even more impactful way. I think we've got a great opportunity to really scale our new Housing for All program, which has seen great success in its pilot and infancy program this last 6-9 months.
I would just love to see the platform which has been created by the founders of HIF grow and to be able to expand more than it is today. It's such a wonderful organization doing such meaningful work in their communities.
When I think about the future of HIF, what I'd like to see is us impact more lives. I think we can take the playbook that we've created and fine-tuned over the last 30 years and give it to other communities to replicate.
The independence that my sons have found since moving here has been eye-opening. Home hasn't felt this much like home in a really long time.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a small sampling of what HIF is about. And here now is the man who is helping lead us into the future and bring it about, Housing Industry Foundation President Steve Sullivan.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks so much for coming. Second here. Okay. Behind any big event, there's a tremendous amount of work that goes into it. I mean, look at this room. Look at how big this room is filled with so many people. And I wanted to take a minute to thank some people that made this happen tonight. If I could ask the Summit Committee to stand. Summit Committee, please. Summit Committee members, please. Thank you. Particularly want to thank Terry Stinson and Leslie Kish. They have been volunteering for this event for many, many, many years. And without them and without the committee, we would not be able to make this event happen. It's quite an honor to be here. I'm very grateful to the board. I want to thank all of our sponsors. Again, I know we thanked them earlier, but I want to thank Mr. Speaker, Mr. Morley, Avery family. I want to thank HD Supply and all of our Platinum and Diamond sponsors and Graystar. And I want to ask for a show of hands of how many people here have served on the board in the past, currently or in the past. If you could just raise your hands. How many people have worked at HIF over the years, if you've been a staff member? And if everyone could just keep their hands up, you know, it's going to keep all your hands up. Your hands up. How many people are about to serve on the board? There's at least 2 in the room. All right. How many people have volunteered for a project, a renovation project, or any other project? Raise your hands. Take a look around. It's a lot of people. This is our industry. This is our network. This is our family. And from Chicago, I'm from Chicago, and I want to show you a quick picture of my family. There's a nice mid-60s Rockwellian picture, Norman Rockwellian. That's my first team. That's a team I was born into, a large family, very competitive, very strong, strong-willed people. My father, no BS, get to work, tireless advocate. My sisters, powerful women, the team that raised me. My brothers, quit your whining kind of brothers, but there for you when you need them. And then, if you look in the faces of everybody in this picture, they're very kind of excited for my christening. That's my, oh, by the way, I had mentioned, that's me there in the middle there. It's my christening. They all look kind of excited. Really do. Except then you get to the next picture, and you'll see that my mom is unimpressed. She's unimpressed. She's had enough. Whenever I see this picture, I think to myself, this is proof positive that I was not planned. Nobody in their right mind would plan a 7th baby. She held our family together. She did everything, like a lot of moms do, especially back then. But what was planned was me coming here to the Bay Area from Chicago to be a part of this organization, to have the honor of carrying on the legacy, great legacy built by previous board members and previous leaders like Debbie Wade. If we could give Debbie Wade a hand, Debbie. And Maida Townsley. Believe me, I know in the last 8 months since I've been an executive director, there's a lot of work that goes into this organization. But it is an honor all the stories that you heard today, the people assembled in this room. You saw in the video that it said over the last 30 years we've helped prevent 20,000 individuals and families from falling into homelessness. 20,000. We've renovated over 100 shelters, over $4 million of market rate worth of renovations. We, as Jamie mentioned, launched a new program that's helping working families with an emphasis on teachers and nonprofit workers. How do you do that? How is that possible that a staff of 2 or 4 can do that? And why should we do it? Rod Standard was mentioned earlier, and I'd like to show the slide of Rod Standard. I think this is the why. There's many reasons why, but for me, this quote motivates me. I found it digging through some HIF stuff when we were doing the luncheon a few months ago, and he basically sums it up. It's very difficult to spend any time thinking about anything else if you don't have a roof over your head. So that fear, that anxiety, it's very real. I've never experienced it. The work I've done the last 20 years, I've helped folks that have experienced it, so I've tangentially have known what it's like. But I've never experienced that fear and anxiety of a mother or a father. Where are we going to live? Where are my children going to go? Or a professional, I can't keep this commute up. I can't. I've talked to many of you and said that you're having a challenge hiring people. It's a challenge for everyone. But that anxiety and that fear, it's hard to think of anything else. And I think that the way we get to these results matters. And I want to spend just a few minutes talking about how this program operates for those of you that don't know, but also to illustrate the power of this program. Our emergency housing program, which we said has helped over 20,000 people stay off the streets. This is a picture of Ines Atana, my program manager at HIF. Ines runs all of our programs. She runs all of our programs, reviews over 300 applications, more than 300 because we don't accept every application. How do we do this? How did the previous staffs at HIF help 20,000 people? Well, they have an incredible network of shelters, community agencies, Life Moves, Sacred Heart, Salvation Army. And in this photo, Ines is helping a senior citizen named Sonia who found affordable housing but couldn't afford to move in. HIF helped her move in, helped pay her security deposit. Monica in the film, she had mentioned the weight that she felt. Well, Monica had, in fact, I'd like to ask the folks that are in our film if they could please stand. I'd like to give them some recognition. Thank you for coming. Monica, when we found out about Monica had been struggling to find a job. She had job here, job there. Finally got a job, a career job, a game-changing job at Johnson & Johnson, but she was behind in her rent. She had like a 3 or 4 day window before she was going to be losing her apartment, right as she was starting her job. In that critical moment, HIF built a bridge over that financial crisis, and she's housed and she's thriving and spent time with her kids and her nieces, wonderful family. Without HIF's support, we don't know. Extremely important. We mentioned renovations, renovating over 100 shelters. 100 shelters. Well, what does that mean? What that generally means is that nonprofits, and I know because I've been doing this for a while, have a really hard time raising capital expenses to improve your facilities. Most people want to give a donation for a program to help a person, help a child. They don't necessarily get excited about giving a grant to fix the plumbing. And so we fill a very critical need in the community where millions of dollars in market rate renovations are completed every year to improve the facilities, improve their service to their clients, but also to improve, as Bruce mentioned, the quality of their living experience. improve the dignity of the living experience. As an example, I want to illustrate, in East Palo Alto, there's an organization called Free at Last, neighborhood-based organization that helps men and women with recovery from substance abuse. Palo Alto has a significant challenge with substance abuse issues, and this organization was started by a local resident. Their budget is very tight. Our renovation committee consists of those two guys on the right, Rod Edwards, George, and Gurasov. They review all the applications. They visit the renovation sites with me. We create a scope of work. Rod asks a lot of probing questions. He says, what's your wish list? What's your must list? We put together a list of scope of work. The guy on the left, that's Chris Wojcik from IBI. I have him in this picture just because I think it's a really cool picture. And he's a great guy. He tells me like it is all the time, and he works his butt off. IBI has committed a lot of resources, as many of the organizations have in this room. And then, once we get the application, we reach out to our board and our network, and we ask, are you interested in this project? Well, last year, Equity Residential was very interested in this project, led by Mark Tremaine and Bobby Trin here tonight. They come out to the site, and we do another meeting. We do another walk through the site. He puts together volunteers from his organization to come and do the painting and kind of the celebration service day. But to get the heavy lifting work done, this is who they brought in. They brought in BKB Construction, M. Rizzo, Arborwell, DK Commercial, Pine Cone, Courts. Danny came and shot some pictures. Sherwin-Williams and Commercial Fire Protection came out, and we renovated the exterior of this house, renovated the landscaping, put an irrigation system, artificial turf, low maintenance plants. And in a shelter like this, why that's critical for many reasons, aside from improving how the men feel when they're in there, many shelters in our community are located in residential areas. So they need to blend into the neighborhood. They need to be a part of the neighborhood. They can't stand out. They already have a stigma on them. They need to blend in. And so for that reason, it's critical as well. And one of the managers that works there was once a resident. It was such a powerful experience with all those volunteers and all those vendors coming out. It said, this restores our faith in the community and each other. Now, I didn't ask him to say that. That's the email he sent me. Because the men felt so valued. These are men that are in the mid-stage of their recovery. They are starting to work again. The next stage, they'll be living on their own. So in this mid-stage, it's very important that they have a great place to live. The staff can work and deliver this work in a way that's reflective of the dignity of the men that are living there. And this is what the house looked like on the exterior. I can't show you all the pictures, but this is what it looked like when they were finished. Beautiful. Beautiful. And the program that Jamie had mentioned earlier, our Affordable Housing Initiative, we for many years, HIF has thought about and had ideas about how can we help people that are kind of in the missing middle, people that are working full-time jobs, they're earning too much money to afford housing, and they're earning too much to not qualify for benefits or support, so they're stuck, the missing middle. And this is a growing number of people around the country, especially here. And so our Affordable Housing Initiative has been, talked about for many years. But this past year, Stan Jones and his son Harrison brought to us, they said, Harrison, who's here, hey Harrison, and they said, what if we try to talk to landlords? And Stan said, what if I reached out to owners and said, if you have any unrented units, can you donate them to us for a year, maybe longer? And we would give them to qualifying tenants who, Ines, does a thorough job of going through their finances, going through a financial budget with them, doing reference checks, doing all the things that you might do and then some when you're considering someone for a unit. And we would make this connection. And Harrison had a teacher who was thinking of leaving the region. This is a real problem. We just met with the University of Santa Clara the other day. They're having trouble recruiting and keeping people. We met with the city of Mountain View. And Lisa Matichak, the mayor of Mountain View, is here. And she is working with us on a pilot project for Mountain View. And I'm going to mention the other officials here because I want you to work with us as well. So here goes. Donna Colson is here, Mayor of Burlingame, Ann Keegan, council member for Burlingame, and Raj Sawan, Vice Mayor of Fremont. Welcome to HIF. I'm coming for you next. And Stan reached out and he recruited this list of organizations, some of them on our board, some not. They donated over 40 units for our pilot program. Yes. We've gotten tremendous enthusiasm from the industry about this so far. And part of the reason is because everyone knows that the time and cost it takes to bring affordable units to market is prohibitive. A lot of people in this room know that. This model that we have, we think is very scalable. We think that if a family is saving 50% off market rate, they can reorganize. As Victor said, they can take a breath and plan what they're going to do next. They can build a life here, get their finances in order. We've placed 20 people so far on this program at a market value of over $350,000. Now, if we scale that in each community, think of the impact that we could have. Think of the teachers and first responders and nonprofit workers, the glue of our community that we could keep in our region without having them leave. We have the power to do that. This family, this community has the power to do that. And they are doing it. I think it's best just to show you someone we helped. Just to let you know that this is a challenge. We get calls every day for people needing help with emergency issues. We get calls for people that are looking for affordable units every day. A lot of calls, more than we can handle. We recently got a call from Life Moves, old referral partner of ours. They had a family that was living in their family shelter program, and they were wanting to leave. You need to leave. Both parents working. They caught their breath at the shelter, but now they needed to move out. And Ines called Dax at Avalon Bay and said, Dax, do we have any units? Dax called his team. His team connected with Ines on my staff. And 2 weeks ago, the Harris family moved in to their apartment. We got an email from Keisha and Cardell Harris, and Ines said, how's it going? And they said, great, very appreciative. And I think she mentioned something about furniture. Are you set up? And they said, no, we don't have beds, but we'll be fine. We'll be fine. They're sleeping on the floor. And so I sent an email to Louis Herta at Brook, who is not yet on our board, but I hope he will be. And I said, Louis, I know I don't know you very well. In fact, I've never met you, but do you have some beds? And Louis said, he sent me an email back about a day later and said, Steve, we're going to furnish the entire apartment. And so, rather than talk about it, I'd just like to show you the moments when that happened. Guys. we could please acknowledge Avalon Bay and Brook Furniture, that would be wonderful. And even better, I'd like to invite Keisha Harris to come up and say a few words for you.
So hello, and oh no. Okay. So this is unexpected. I just want to say that we knew we were coming, and we thought we were just going to say thank you, but I feel so honored. So, never thought I would be telling a story of homelessness and how it kind of helped make things better, but wow. So we chose to come to San Mateo County. We came here from Baltimore, Maryland. If you know that, you know we felt like we were making a big move. So to be able to stay, to not keep getting denied because we were working and trying was very helpful for the first time. So thank you all. Everybody. That's it. I'm sorry.
Okay. You're doing great. They just can't hear you in the back.
Okay. Thank you all very much.
That's the power of this family here, to impact families throughout our region. A gentleman who I met this past year who has been integral to this organization, helped start this organization. I'd like to invite Mr. Jim Morley up to the stage.
Well, there's one thing significant about the people who've been speaking tonight. They all had ties on. We searched and searched at our home in Truckee and couldn't find a tie. Oh, well, you know, it doesn't really matter that much. I think it's part of life, isn't it? I wanted to just take a second to tell you about how all this happened. We were getting a lot of bad press 30 couple of years ago, and the press was not being very kind to apartment owners. And so I called a bunch of people, and people I knew, Bert Avery, Duncan Madison, Rick Ahona, Chris Christensen from Tri-County. Where's Tri-County? You know, very well respected, very, very often here, and very much donating. So we invited them to my house, and I said, "Well, I'm gonna really spring for something. I'm gonna spring for a barbecue. I'll make something in a barbecue. I mean, this is gonna be a pretty exciting day, but we have a goal in mind." So they got there, and I served sandwiches, and I got so much blowback on that. I just couldn't believe. But you know, they were right, and so from that, we had a meeting of the minds, and we said, we have been the people who have been walking around with black hats, the apartment owners, and what we need to do is to change and become white hat people. So how can we do that? How can that happen? So we thought it over in this length of time that we're there, and which is pretty good size of the afternoon, and we said, I think what we have to do is start a foundation that's going to, and originally this was called the AIF, Apartment Industry Foundation. And so we decided to do this, and I said, okay, I'll take the ball, and we'll hire someone, and we'll get going, and we did. And I want to tell you that this is the significant part about it, is that we were thinking about homeless when homeless wasn't even a word. I mean, it was a long time ago, but we were going to give our own funds and raise funds and be able to then donate to people who wanted some funds to get into their apartment building, and it worked. You see what's happening today. One of the things that we've been able to do. So, yeah, from that, it just expanded and expanded, and here we are at this moment. So we raised maybe $15 million, and we've had in-kind, it says here $3 million. I don't believe that. I think it's more like 5 or 6. And I saw John Pringle tonight, and I said, do you remember pulling weeds? And he goes, of course I remember pulling weeds. And when you go to these in-kind and you go to the events that are going to during a Saturday, Sunday, and you're gonna spend your time doing maybe menial tasks or tasks that you're able to do because you're skilled, which we do now. It's very, very meaningful to put your hard labor. Yeah, anybody can donate, but to volunteer and to be able to express yourself in your own heart out to the community, that's what really makes a difference. So there's several major donors tonight that I'd like to just mention quickly. Clive Holland, CA Tri-County, Woodmont, the Diller family, and speaker companies. These people are, there's many others, but there's many others, but these were kind of the basis, the foundation that started this and have continued every time we get together. I think the thing that is remarkable to me is that when we got out there in the cocktail time, you notice that everybody was just chatting up a storm. I mean, we're not only working together for a cause, but we're friends. We're all really friendship too. And you meet people and you want to be their friend. You come up to some guy and I get all sorts of brash attitude from Stephen Paul, you know. I mean, he said, why don't you, why do you call me Friday? You know I'm off on Friday, but why do you call me? I said 24/7, Steve. That's what we do. So, so I think that friendship is a major issue and a major helpfulness to all of us who want to get together for this cause. Well, I'm excited about the new staff. Steve and Ines are the foundation of what we can build together. But we're going to build it by helping tonight. And I think that everybody here in this room is thinking the same way I am. I'm very excited about the staff. Thank you very much. And Jamie's done a fabulous job, and the board is great. So it isn't what we used to do, it's what we do now that makes a difference. Okay, I'm going to just split from this for a second and ask, who is it that is from the farthest away that came tonight? Okay, I know Seattle's represented here. How about Denver? Anybody from the East Coast? New York? Anybody further away than New York? Would you stand up, please? Please. And your first name is? I'm sorry. Joyce. Joyce, please continue standing. Would you take this? Joyce, we really appreciate you coming tonight this long distance. And token of my appreciation to you personally is I'm going to just kind of help you understand that we are the kind of people who donate. But, I forgot to tell you something. We're going to have a donation coming up. I want that given. Thank you very much.